Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Angelica Lascon. I am the Timpany Center liaison for this semester. And this semester we are presenting, our topic would be promoting gut health. And today we will be highlighting the importance of a high fiber diet. Also joining us today is Zaina. She is a WISC ambassador. She'll help us monitor the chat room. And we also have Professor Kubota. She is a registered dietitian and a San Jose State instructor. So she'll help us answer any questions you may have. And now I will pass it on to our presenters. They are nutrition students who put together this lovely presentation for you today.
Hi, I'm Marilyn, and my counterparts are Jamaica and Jacob, and I believe he's going to be on his way very soon. Our topic we're going to be talking about today is only one of the series of this, and it's high fiber diet. Next slide.
So what are people eating? So on the stats, on average, a typical American consumes about 10 to 15 grams of fiber a day, less than half the recommended amount, and about 18% of the United States population meet the dietary guidelines for fruits, and about 13% of United States citizens meet the dietary guidelines for vegetables. So some scientific research. Fiber intake helps reduce risks of chronic disease, such as cardiovascular disease and type 2 diabetes. The mean intake for dietary fiber in the US is about 17 grams a day, and only 5% meet the adequate intake. So as you can see, we're consuming low fiber.
Fiber RDI. So first off, RDI is a recommended dietary intake, which is the average daily intake level of a particular nutrient that is likely to meet the nutrient requirements of 97 to 98% of a healthy individuals in a particular life stage or a gender group. In this case, I will be talking about fiber RDI for both men and women. The USDA recommends daily intake of fiber for adults is 25 grams per day for women and 38 grams per day for men. The recommended fiber intake for for people over 50 is 21 grams per day for women and 30 grams per day for men. Next slide, please. So here are some ways to increase fiber in your diet. So the first one is switching to whole grains where possible. So at least like 50% of your choices should be whole grains. For example, like whole wheat, corns, and oats, or even replacing white rice with brown rice. Another one is eating more fruits and vegetables, eating berries, snacking on nuts, seeds, or add them to your recipes. Also eating high fiber foods at every meal. For example, for breakfast, cereal, granola bars, or yogurt. And reading food labels and pick products that are high in your fiber when going to the grocery store. And finally, considering fiber supplements. Fiber has a number of health benefits. It is best to get fiber from food because supplements don't provide that vitamins and minerals and other nutrients that fiber-rich food do. But fiber supplements can contribute to the recommended daily intake for someone who doesn't consume a lot of fiber. Although some people may not need to take the supplements unless they are low on fiber or have digestive or chronic issues. So when you want to increase your fiber in your diet, make sure you do it so gradually and drink plenty of fluids to keep moving through your body. Don't eat it. Don't eat of okay. Don't eat all of your fiber for a day in one sitting. Spread it out throughout the day. Next slide, please.
Labels are a great way to check how much fiber is in your food or for looking for how much whole grains are in your foods. And this label I'll be talking about will be on flax seeds. As you can see, I circled the dietary fiber and it's at 3 grams of fiber for only 2 tablespoons. They're a great way to incorporate into your foods. They are also high in omega-3s. The preferred way to eat, like incorporate flax seeds, would be the grounded version, just because it's easier to digest, and the whole version you won't be able to digest as easily, and you won't get as much benefits from eating the whole compared to the grounded version, and they last about 6 months in the fridge after opened. Later in the presentation, Jacob will show you on his way of incorporating flax seeds in a recipe, such as his muffin recipe. Next slide. So whole grain serving size.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Okay. So here are some supplements examples that some of you guys might have seen at the store, and there are varieties of fiber supplements such as powdered tables and many more. And here are some supplements such as Citrusel, Fiberol, Fibercon caplets, Hydrosol Instance, Consul, Metamizole, Perdium, and Unifiber. And here's also some whole foods such as beans, broccoli, berries, avocados, whole grains, apples, dry fruits, potato, and nuts. Like I said earlier, whole foods rather than fiber supplements are generally better because fiber supplements usually contain only one type of fiber. So eating variety of different food containing different type of fiber is better options. Next slide, please.
The whole grain serving sizes. So for women 51 and up, every woman should consume 5 servings of grains daily, and at least 3 of them should be from whole grains. And for men 51 years old and up, should consume 6 servings of grains daily, and at least 3 of them should be from whole grains. So examples would be, like on this picture, would be oats, wheat, barley, rice, corn, soybean. So an example for a snack would be like popcorn, and then some things that are like, for example, whole grains are the way that you should go towards. So it could be brown rice, farro, whole wheat, cracked wheat. You could really look at the nutrition labels to see more like if they are whole grains. There are versions that aren't whole grains, such as rice, but there are whole grain versions such as the brown rice, like for example, to swap out. Next slide. So in this slide, you could see the whole range of different foods that have fiber, such as nuts, seeds, beans, legumes, and whole grains. And usually when it's a fiber diet, it's pretty colorful on the options that you can put into your diet. Next slide. So now I want to talk about orange juice versus orange. There's a big difference on how it is. Or in orange juice, there's 110 calories, while in one orange, it's 62 calories. And there's a significant difference also in the amount of fiber. In one 8-ounce cup of orange juice, there's 0.5 grams of fiber, while an orange has 3 grams of fiber. And then in an 8-ounce serving of orange juice, there's about 2 times the amount of calories and sugar of a whole orange. Usually for orange juice, if you don't have enough fiber in your diet, oranges are a great way to swap out orange juice just because you increase your fiber by a lot. And usually for orange juice, it needs 4 to 5 oranges to make a glass. And orange juice has soluble fiber, which has been also increasing cholesterols. Next slide.
So another way to increase your fiber intake would be to address some of the other ingredients that you use in your kitchen for baking and for making other types of breads and sweet, and actually substituting whole wheat flour for white flour can actually increase your fiber intake by double. White all-purpose flour has only about 3.6 grams of fiber per cup, and whole wheat flour maintains about 6.4 grams of fiber per cup. So choosing to cook with whole wheat flour or eating foods that are made with them increases the likelihood of meeting the RDI. Next slide, please. Can you guys see the next one, or is it just my computer? No, not yet.
No,
Yes, the white whole wheat flour.
we don't see it. And Jill, there we go.
Thank you very much. So there is an alternative to the kind of brown, darker, and heavier texture that some of the whole wheat flour maintains, and this is white whole wheat flour that not too many people are familiar with. If you're not looking for it in the grocery store, you are likely to overlook it, and it is made with white albino wheat as compared to the red wheat that the traditional whole wheat flour is made with. And it actually offers the same amount of nutritional value as the brown whole wheat flour, but like I said, maintains a lighter and a sweeter texture than the traditional whole wheat. This makes for better looking baked goods while incorporating more fiber into your diet. Next row, please. Or next slide, please. Another fun and delicious way to incorporate some more fiber into your diet that not too many people think about is through berries, particularly red berries, as red raspberries contain 8.4 grams of fiber per cup. Blueberries contain about 4 grams of fiber per cup. Strawberries at about 3.4 grams of fiber per cup. And just only 10 red cherries have about 1.3 grams of fiber. Next slide, please. So you may be asking yourself, what does fiber actually do within your body? And fiber acts as a prebiotic, and it is basically feeds your gut microflora, which is the good bacteria that is within your GI tract. And doing so can improve immune function, lower inflammatory response, and improve overall colon health. Next slide, please. So there are actually 2 different types of fiber, one being soluble and one being insoluble. And the soluble fiber is the one that we attribute to lowering cholesterol and blood glucose and really fighting those metabolic diseases such as cardiovascular disease and diabetes. And these can be found in black beans, apples, oats, barley, Brussels sprouts, sunflower seeds, and flax. And insoluble fiber is additionally good for the colon. It's not necessarily correlated with the same effects as lowering the HDL or the LDL cholesterol, but it provides stool bulk and promotes regularity. And it is found in asparagus, black beans, chickpeas, dates, legumes like lentils, and quinoa. Next slide, please. So among the other benefits, kind of similar to the roles that we discussed earlier, a diet high in fiber can lower your cholesterol, decrease risk of heart disease, decrease mortality from circulatory, digestive, and inflammatory disease, improve your insulin sensitivity and glucose control to kind of keep in check those certain factors when it comes to diabetes, weight and appetite control, prevention and relief from constipation, and increase calcium absorption and bone mineral density. Next slide, please. So we all made a recipe to share with you guys, and you guys will be getting the cards that entail the recipes on an email, just in case you guys are wondering what ingredients are in these, as some are a bit faster than other. But here is a whole wheat muffin made with flaxseed and apples. It's got a bit of allspice and cinnamon in it, so it's a very nice treat for fall and a very great way to increase your fiber intake.
Nice job, Jacob.
Thank you very much. And just one more comment to make this very clear: the toothpick test that is mentioned on the recipe card for this, you conduct that by placing the toothpick into the muffin itself. And once you take it out, the toothpick should be completely dry, and then, you know, they're ready. So thank you, guys.
So here is my simple homemade fiber bar recipe. This was my first time creating an energy bar at home, and I was surprised how it was easy and simple it was to make. This energy bar contains almond, pecans, oats, and many more that can help you fulfill those midday hunger cravings. And for this recipe, I use peanut butter, although you can switch out sun butter or almond butter, which is a fantastic alternative for those who can eat peanut butter and could utilize also utilize. You can also utilize other nut butter. And another alternative is replacing honey with maple syrup or other syrups. And also, if you want to put a seasonal twist, you can replace the cranberries with pumpkin seeds. And this recipe is super easy and inexpensive. So here's a video.
Nice job, Jamaica.
So for my recipe, it will be the vegetable chickpea farro soup. It is a quick and easy pantry soup. It has 14 grams of protein and fiber per serving. I really enjoyed making it, especially on a cold, cozy day. I really wanted to quickly mention like what farro is. Farro is a whole grain. It's like barley and it's also in the wheat family. And this recipe is literally a bowl of fiber. So yeah, enjoy the video.
Looks delicious. Thank you, Marilyn.
Thank you.
Do we have any questions?
So if we wanted to get the recipes, do we just go like to YouTube? Is that it?
I believe Professor Kubota will be sending out an email to you all about the recipe cards for each of
Oh,
these
okay.
meals. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we have the recipes available, so we'll send those out in a follow-up email, so you'll get all of those. They are up on our YouTube channel, and so you can find those recipes on our YouTube channel, but you can also find other recipes. So from our other Timpany Center events and then other videos that we've created. So you're welcome to check out the YouTube video for Whisk. So if you search, let me see if I can put the link in the chat, but it's Whisk SJSU. And you can go there. We also have a website and we're on social media if you're on Instagram.
I'm not.
Follow us there. Yeah. So I think we have a couple more slides. This is the end of our fall series. And then we'll be starting a new series for spring with nutrition topics provided by our nutrition students, senior nutrition students at San Jose State. So you can look out for those. We've been talking with Dr. Jen about bringing some back in person. Oh, I'm sorry, this isn't the last one. Thank you, Angelica. I forgot. There is one more coming up and I'll let Angelica introduce that one here in a minute. But just, we have Marge on the line and Patricia. If you guys have any ideas for upcoming presentations, any topics that you'd like to see covered, please feel free to shout those out or put them in the chat and we can consider those for our spring topics as well. So let me hand this over to Angelica again to talk about the Mediterranean diet event coming up.
Yes, just a gentle reminder to save the date and register ahead for November 17th. We will have a Mediterranean diet event and we'll just go over the benefits of a Mediterranean diet, and we're going to do a Mediterranean dish takeover on Thanksgiving food. So we would love to have you guys join.
Yeah.
We'll be there and look forward to getting these recipes.
We will send them over. I can send them over right after we sign off.
Great. Sounds great. Thank you so much. Good presentation.
Thank you. Thanks for
enjoyed it.
joining us, Patricia and Mark.
Absolutely.
So actually, I have another question. I
Yeah.
had never heard of that albino flour. Where would you get something like that?
It's actually pretty common at most grocery stores. You can probably find it from Safeway to, of course, probably a Whole Foods. But it's fairly common. But like I said, if you're not looking for it, you will most likely miss it.
Okay.
Yeah, Marge, it's called white whole wheat flour. So you won't see it labeled as albino. You'll
Oh,
see
okay.
it labeled as white whole wheat.
White
and-
whole wheat.
Yep.
Okay.
You'll see it. It used to be when it first came out. It was about 10 years ago that we first started seeing white whole wheat. And I was
Uh-huh.
telling the students that when I very first time I saw it was actually, I was looking in the bread aisle at breads, and Sarah Lee had a new white whole wheat. And I got angry. I was like, what are they doing now? Because, sometimes
Yeah.
these large food producers kind of trick our consumers into doing things, but it actually turns out that they were using this new variety of wheat to make their whole wheat flour and then to make bread. So you get a lot of the same benefits from using the traditional whole wheat, but it resembles and behaves more like traditional refined white flour. So the white bread looks more white, which people
Mhm.
enjoy. So you can now find it pretty much everywhere. If you look for it, most Safeways or Lucky supermarkets will have it. It's Bob's Red Mill has one and King Arthur has one. And then sometimes I think I have seen Gold Medal have one,
Uh-huh.
but you do have to look for it.
So what like grain does it come from? Because
Wheat.
like, I know,
Yeah.
but what I'm, okay, so
It
back
comes
in
from
the-
wheat. It's just a different variety of wheat. So like there's hundreds of varieties of corn and hundreds of varieties of different types of grains. With wheat, the traditional wheat that we have used to make whole wheat flour and actually to make even refined flour, it's just that the bran is removed. So the color component is removed, is a red wheat.
Okay.
So the grain itself has that red color in the bran, that outer covering. And so when it's ground, it becomes darker. When you
Uh-huh.
remove that covering, that bran, and you make refined flour, it's still white because the center, the starch component is white. And so whole wheat flour has typically looked darker than refined flour. The white whole wheat flour comes from a variety of wheat that's just white. It doesn't have that same
Oh,
coloration on
okay.
the outside. And so when they refine it, when they grind it into whole wheat flour, it maintains a whiter color.
Oh, okay.
So it's still whole wheat flour, just less of,
Uh-huh.
it's just lighter in color, but it also behaves a little bit differently than traditional whole wheat flour in that it's a little softer. It doesn't make things quite as heavy. So you can use it in a little bit higher proportions than you typically can regular whole wheat flour. So if you're baking with regular whole wheat flour, oftentimes recipes will be a mix of whole wheat flour and regular flour so that they're not too heavy.
Uh-huh.
And if you're trying to swap out, what you can typically do if you have a recipe that you like and you want to add whole wheat flour in is you'd start with about a third whole wheat flour and see
Mhm.
how it affects the recipe. And then if it works well, then the next time you make it, you can try half whole wheat flour.
Mhm.
With the white whole wheat flour, you can typically start a little bit higher. So you can actually swap out maybe 50% and see how it does. And in things like pancakes and waffles and, biscuits, it
That's
actually
what I
does
was
quite
gonna
well.
ask about, because our waffles, when I tried to swap out with the whole wheat, they seem like they stuck to the wall
Yeah.
flour more.
And
Is
they're
that the case?
heavy. Exactly. Try the white whole wheat flour if you can find it. It's really a great swap. It makes things seem more like their white counterparts, which people are used to. So people tend to like them better. And yeah, so it's a good swap.
So in the 70s, which I know is a long time ago, but so I had a Magic Mill grinder,
Yeah.
and a woman, you know, in my neighborhood had taught it's the Bosch food mixer, all that stuff. Anyway, so we would, you know, purchase from a Whole Foods or something like that, you know, store the grain,
Yeah.
which I guess was then the red wheat grain, which, you know, I would grind in the mill. I mean, I still have it.
Yeah.
And then if you're gonna use like to try like an apple pie or something like that, you would buy a different kind of grain, which I can't remember what it was. And so that's why I guess I was just wondering, like if I want the albino white whole wheat flour, like what exact kind of grain is it that I, you know, if I was gonna grind it again.
So you'd be looking for white wheat rather
Okay.
than a red wheat.
Just,
You'd
okay.
probably have to go. I've not seen the whole kernels available
Uh-huh.
for grinding, but you could get them like at especially grain producers. So there's Justos, but there's also I'm trying to remember the name of it, up in San Anselmo, and I'd have to look for it, but I can put it in the email later. There's actually, so Justos, if you're familiar with them, if you ground your own wheat, it's a family run grain company, and they actually grow grains, and then they have a mill, and they produce really high quality flours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're amazing. So it's
No,
it's a
I'm not.
family though, and so there's like 4 kids involved. One of the kids
Wow.
has split off, and he's created his own company now, milling flours. He's up in Marin,
Mm-hmm.
and they sell a lot of specialty flours. So that would be where I would go to try to get some if you wanted to try to grind your own. They also do classes, and they have all kinds of great stuff. So it's a
Oh,
great
wow.
resource if you do like to do that kind of stuff. So I'll put the email and the contact for that when I send the video links, because that'd be a good place for you to go and try to find it if you did want to grind your own. But
Well,
they
it's been
definitely
years,
sell it.
like I said, you know, I did it in the 70s when my kids were growing up, and, you know,
Uh-huh.
now they're no longer going with me. It's like I haven't done that in years,
Yeah,
but I
you
still
know,
have it. But, you know, I might try it. That's all.
it's fun to play with. I would say that there's another interesting concept that you bring up when you talk about grinding your own wheat. So that's whole milling of grains. And it's a different process than what commercial manufacturers do to create whole grains or whole wheat flours. So in the United States, the production method for creating flours is to refine the flours completely. And then to sell whole wheat flours, they add back in some of the bran until they get to
Yeah.
the particular ratio that they need. So they're not
Uh-huh.
necessarily whole milling flours or whole milling whole grain flours, right? It's a different kind of process. In Europe, they do whole mill. This
Mhm.
company that I'm talking about up in Marin, they do some home milling of flours, and there's been some discussion. So I'm hoping that there'll be some research around this about the difference in the flour's digestibility when it
Mhm.
comes to whole milling of flours. People that use whole milled flours, and there's a guy up in San Rafael, his name is Craig Ponsford. He's a longtime baker. He owned Acme Bakery, if you remember Acme Breads. He was the owner of that. He actually is, I mean, this, I just want to tell you why he's such a cool dude. He was the first American. So in 1996, he was on the bread baking team for the US that
Wow.
went to the World Bread Baking Competition. He's
Oh,
the
wow.
first team that won it for the US. So this is like,
Wow.
you know, when artisanal bread makers in the US finally kind of hit the map, you know, as being legitimate was Craig Ponsford. and it was him and Acme Bakery. Anyways, he's left Acme Bakery. He sold it a long time ago. And now he has a place called Ponsford's Place up in San Rafael, and he only uses whole milled flours. And he
Wow.
swears by them. He swears by the fact that they're, you know, they're just so interesting, but they're also highly digestible. They're more digestible. People that have gluten intolerances come to him and say, I don't know what it is about what you're doing, but I can totally eat all of your pastries and all of your breads. So I'm hoping that soon that we'll see some research on this and see if this is something that's legitimate. Is there a difference between whole milling of flours and using flours that are fully refined and their digestibility?
Yeah, thank you. It was very interesting.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty interesting topic. So hopefully we'll see something soon. But I will put the resources. I'll put Craig Ponsford's place, and I'll put the place for the grain company in the email when I send out the links to the videos, because I think you guys would enjoy that as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? No? Okay, well, I know we're a little bit under our hour. We're happy to stay and answer more questions, but we can also let you go a little early from class today. And we'll plan to hopefully see y'all at the next one, the Mediterranean diet. We're excited about that next presentation and also looking into spring. So thank you both for coming.
We'll see you in November.
Awesome. Thanks, Patricia.
Thank you again. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Marge.
Thank you.